You know, the central confusing truth about later life is that the emotional challenges you face in retirement are often completely different from the stressors of your working years. It can leave you feeling so unprepared for feelings you just didn't see coming. You might have expected peace, right? A sense of calm after decades of hard work. But instead, maybe you're wrestling with something else entirely. A quiet dread, a feeling of stagnation, maybe even a low-grade anxiety you just can't put your finger on. Well, today, we're going to dive into the emotional traps of aging that nobody ever really warns you about. Okay, let's unpack this for a second, because it really hits the nail on the head. We spend so much time thinking about financial planning and physical health, and of course, those are important. But the real, and I think for many, the shocking truth, is that the biggest stress comes from something much more fundamental: the sudden disappearance of the very things that organize your life. Your professional identity, your daily routine, your built-in network of colleagues, poof. They can vanish, and that absence creates this vacuum that is surprisingly hard to deal with.
All right, Section 1, Why Everything Feels Different. We're going to diagnose the structural roots of the problem. And let me just say, right off the bat, if you're feeling a bit lost or aimless, it's not you. This isn't a personal failing. It's not that you're somehow bad at retirement. What you're experiencing has deep structural roots. So let's get into what's really happening under the surface, so you can move past any self-blame and start building some effective, proactive strategies.
Wow, okay, this slide really puts it in black and white, doesn't it? On one side, you've got your work life. Everything was laid out for you. A daily schedule that got you out of bed, a professional identity, you were an engineer, a nurse, a salesperson. It gave you a clear role. And heck, even your social life was kind of built in with colleagues. And then, the other side, the retirement void. That schedule is replaced by this vast, unstructured sea of time. That clear identity gets fuzzy, leading to role ambiguity. And those colleagues? Well, you drift apart. It's a natural social attrition. This isn't a small adjustment. It's like the entire scaffolding of your life has been taken down overnight.
And here's the thing about that void. It's gonna get filled with something. And if we're not really intentional about it, it usually gets filled with, well, the easy stuff. Passive, low-stimulus routines. You know, a little more TV, a lot more scrolling online, sticking to the same comfortable habits. And look, that can feel good at first, but over time, these passive routines can really accelerate that feeling of aimlessness and slowly chip away at your sense of being capable and in control of your own life. It's a subtle trap.
So there's actually a name for this feeling. It's called role ambiguity. It's a real psychological concept, and you've probably felt it. It's that awkward pause when someone at a party asks, "So what do you do?" And answering, "I'm retired," just feels incomplete, like it's about what you're not doing instead of what you are doing. Just giving that feeling a name can be so powerful because it confirms that what you're feeling is real, it's common, and most importantly, it's something you can absolutely address. Okay, so what do we do about it? How do we address it? This brings us to Section 2, your 4 emotional defenses. And this is all built on one really powerful core principle, a big mindset shift. Emotional maturity in this phase of life is active work. It's not something that just happens to you, it's something you build day by day. I really want this to sink in for a moment. Emotional maturity is active work. This reframes the whole challenge. It's not about finding a magic bullet or a new hobby just to pass the time. It's about engaging in the continuous, empowering practice of building internal meaning to replace the external structures that have fallen away. And yeah, it's work, but it also means you're the architect now. You are in the driver's seat of your own well-being, and that is an incredibly powerful place to be.
And here is the blueprint, the framework for that work. We're going to walk through 4 essential emotional defenses that will help you build real resilience. Think of it like a toolkit. Number 1, forge a new role to fight that identity loss. 2, set some serious emotional boundaries to prevent burnout. 3, process your life story to find peace. And 4, intentionally structure your engagement with the world to fight off stagnation. This isn't just a list of nice ideas, this is a strategy.
All right, Section 3, building your proactive routine. This is where the rubber meets the road. We've talked about the what, now let's get into the how. It's one thing to understand these ideas, but it's another thing entirely to actually apply them in your day-to-day life. So let's get super practical with some actionable steps.
So that first defense, forging a new role, is all about creating what's called a generativity goal. This is so much more than a hobby. This is a purpose-driven activity focused on contributing, on guiding, or helping the next generation. Think about mentoring a young person just starting out in your old field, or teaching a skill you've spent a lifetime perfecting, whether that's woodworking or accounting or gardening. This isn't just about staying busy, it's about feeling needed,
valued, and connected to something bigger than yourself. It gives you a real, meaningful answer to that question, so what do you do?
Defense number 2 is an absolute game changer, especially if you're a natural caregiver. It's the emotional autonomy zone. See, when you retire, people often assume you have unlimited free time, right? And it's easy to become the go-to emotional support for everyone. And it is draining. This is about scheduling a protected block of time. Maybe it's just a couple of hours every Tuesday morning, where you are simply unavailable. It is non-negotiable. You don't have to justify it. This is not selfish. I'm going to say that again. This is not selfish. It is essential self-preservation to protect your mental energy.
The third defense is a little more internal, a little more reflective. We'll call it memory curation. This is the active process of looking back, not to dwell on the past, but to make sense of it all. What does that look like? Well, it could be finally writing down some of those family stories, or even just a few key chapters of your own life. It could be recording your voice for your grandkids, or simply organizing old photos and journaling about the memories. The goal is to process your past roles, to come to terms with things, and to build a coherent story of your life. This work leads to a profound sense of peace and wholeness. And finally, our fourth defense. This one is our secret weapon against getting stuck in a rut. It's the Novelty Appointment. I love this one. It's a small, planned, weekly deviation from your normal routine. And listen, we're not talking about a huge trip. It can be as simple as trying a new coffee shop, taking a completely different route on your daily walk, visiting a local museum you've never been to, or even just listening to a new genre of music. The whole point is to intentionally introduce a little novelty to combat mental stagnation and keep your brain flexible and engaged.
And look at how simple this can be to integrate into your life. Here's a sample week. Most of it is your standard, comfortable routine, right? The walk, the groceries, coffee with a friend, all good stuff. But then, look at Wednesday. Bam! There it is, the Novelty Appointment, scheduled right in. It's intentional. By just putting it on the calendar, you commit to breaking the pattern just enough to spark some growth, without making your week feel overwhelming. It's a tiny change with a huge psychological impact. Okay, we've looked at the problem, we've looked at the practical solutions. Now, for our final section, let's just shift our perspective a little. Let's talk about the wisdom of this approach, about reframing these very real challenges not as some sort of decline, but as a powerful catalyst for a new kind of growth.
If any of this has resonated with you, that feeling of being stuck, of being in a bit of a rut, I really want you to hear this loud and clear. It is not a sign of failure. It is a powerful, healthy signal from your psyche that it's time for the next stage of your personal development. It's an invitation to engage in the intentional work of building a new you. It's a call to action, not a reason for despair.
And the rewards for answering that call? They're immense. This isn't just about feeling a little less bored. By actively doing this work, you're building a foundation for sustained vitality. You're cultivating a renewed sense of self-efficacy, that deep-down belief that you can handle whatever comes your way. You're creating a life of purposeful engagement, and all of this leads to the ultimate goal, a deep and lasting emotional peace.
So, where do you begin? It can feel like a lot, I know, but the journey of 1,000 miles always begins with a single step. So we're going to wrap this up by distilling everything we've talked about into one gentle, totally manageable challenge that you can act on today. If you take away just one single lesson from all of this, let it be this. The emotional traps you might be facing, that anxiety, that stagnation, they are not your fault. They are structural problems, and they are completely manageable. The solution isn't to just think positive. The real solution is to build a proactive psychological defense system, piece by piece. And here is your gentle challenge, just for yourself, before you move on with your day. First, just think, who is the one person who tends to over-rely on you emotionally? Just bring them to mind. Second, look at your calendar for the coming week. Where can you schedule your very first emotional autonomy zone? It could be just 1 hour. That's it. By just answering these 2 questions for yourself, you're taking your first concrete step in building your defenses and reclaiming your vital energy.
So in the end, remember this. The greatest emotional stress after 60 so often comes from the structural loss of roles and boundaries that used to define our days. But the most helpful insight we have is that you have the tools to build a new structure from within. The power of creating a generativity goal gives you a renewed purpose, and establishing an emotional autonomy zone protects the vital energy you need to pursue it. By actively choosing this dynamic new identity, you're not just coping with change, you are securing a future defined by lasting peace and genuine fulfillment.